Hello, hello. Hoping. Hello, hello. I'm hoping everyone can hear me. Um, it wasn't totally clear. Let's see. Well, I hope everyone can hear me today. Um, Thank you for joining. I was setting up a new microphone, so I'm hoping that it's working. Um, Welcome. Happy Wednesday. And for those of you that don't know me, my name is Caroline. I'm a dating and breakup coach, and I'm also a former matchmaker. And for many years, my work has focused on helping people who want committed, healthy relationships, but feel like worn down and discouraged or emotionally tired by dating. So while I was a matchmaker, basically, I realized that a lot of people think but are wrong that they are just one more date away from like a perfect match, but that they have more foundational work to do. And not just to help their romantic futures, but their lives in general. So, when they turn inward and they focused on discovering and defining and then deploying what actually drives them and how that relates to their decisions and how to align themselves to their goals, we were able to get better work done. So I shifted from matchmaking and just trying to set you up on a better date to actually doing the work that makes dating easier and more productive and go better. Um, what I do want to talk about first is that recently I had a setback. So I was in a car accident. I was rear ended pretty terribly not very long ago. So luckily, no broken bones, but some pain, some structural issues, some whiplash, but not to mention like the psychological impact. It took me back a lot of steps. And when I was hit, I was on my way to go record a podcast with someone in person. I was like so excited to do an in person podcast and really have like that intimate conversation. If you've watched any of my other podcasts, they're all on Zoom. There was people all over the country, some people out of the country. And then my first thought after I was hit, I looked behind me, I realized what had happened because it's a shock. If you've ever been through that, you know you're kind of shocked. Once I realized what had happened, I looked at the clock to see if I could still make it to that recording. And so, as everything was being worked out with the driver, the cop, not to mention my partner because I was driving his car, I texted the host, and after she established I was like physically okay, relatively speaking, she said, "We'll reschedule." I said, "No, I can still make it. The car is still drivable. I should be done soon, right?" And I feel really, really fortunate that it was a host who her whole focus as is on helping burned out women, usually really high achieving burned out women, because she said right away, absolutely not. Go home, take some Advil, go rest. You have no idea if you're okay right now, and there's no heroism in pushing through. And I took her advice because she is the expert, right? And if she wanted to reschedule, we're going to reschedule. Another similar story I have is many years ago, when I was working as a chef in San Francisco. I was at a small bistro, and so it was like a one-person kitchen. We had 30 seats. I was prepping for a special menu night, dinner service. We had full reservations. We had full reservations. And the executive chef who made the menu wanted me to peel quince raw and then cut it into a certain shape to make like tartlets. If you have ever tried to cut a quince, it's not just another apple. It's an ancient type of apple. Some scholars theorize it is the apple that was in the Garden of Eden. It has a very floral, perfumey smell. It's quite enticing if you smell it. It is also as hard as a rock. It is very, very difficult to cut. Harder than a carrot. Like you generally stew or roast it to soften it because cutting it is like so awful. So, of course, trying to follow these directions, I had cut myself through a nerve in my thumb. And as I left to get stitched up, I yelled to all the front of house staff, like, I'll be back. Dinner can still happen. But then I sat in the waiting room at the ER and I was watching the time tick by. And I realized that not only was I in a ton of pain, but I would never make it back on time. I was so much more worried about the canceled dinner service than I was about whether I had permanent nerve damage, right? And I've always been so programmed to keep pushing through. It takes a car accident or a serious injury to slow me down. And even then, I still fight the slowdown. I was determined to keep my work schedules. I was determined to finish my to-do lists, no matter the cost to me personally. So, why then do I care so much about making sure you all live a balanced life with self-care and love being the foundation of it, especially on your own journey to that life and possible partnerships you dream about, when I don't think I have to do the same? So that's why I wanted to talk about this today, because it's really the heart of my work. I am not special. So if I struggle to take my own advice or think I am not worthy of the care that I want to help other people experience, then I'm not the only one who thinks, sure, like self-care, self-love, support, whatever, that's great for other people, taking breaks and all that, but that doesn't apply to me, right? If you've ever thought that, please type me in the comments if you also struggle to care for yourself the way you care about others or your obligations to them. And I don't care if you're here live or watching it on replay, react the same as if you would if you were able to join live. Most of the advice out there tells you to keep going, to push through. Just get back out there, stay positive, try a new app or event or group. And if that hasn't been working, I want to tell you why and what you need to do instead. So today is not going to be just about giving up. It's about understanding why effort without the right foundation doesn't just fail to help, but it actually can deepen your burnout. So I want to talk about first, like, what pushing through actually means. And in terms of dating, what it looks like is going on dates when you're emotionally depleted because you feel like stopping means you gave up, right? Re-downloading apps you deleted because just being still makes you feel like you're falling behind. Forcing optimism that doesn't match what you actually feel. Agreeing to things because it feels easier than saying no. Staying in conversations or situationships past the point of genuine interest because at least it's like something. And measuring your progress by activity than how you actually feel, right? Activity is not productivity, right? If you're not getting to where you need to go, then the activity and the energy you're putting towards something is not the right activity, okay? So there's a reason we make these choices. You know, we are taught that like hard work and effort is so important to anything you want in life. And in most areas of life, pushing harder does produce results, right? Hustle culture like burrows into our brains even if we don't identify with it. It's so ubiquitous. And dating feels like it should work the same way when it really doesn't. And the conclusion that many people draw is that they just need to try more, but not necessarily try differently, right? And it's not like it's a character flaw or poor decision making. It is a reasonable response to a situation that does not follow the usual rules of effort equals reward. So there is a cost to all this pushing through, and that's diminishing returns on energy and hope. It's decisions made from depletion rather than clarity. And it's growing cynicism that starts to color how you see people before you've even met them. And remember, cynicism actually impacts your health. If you've ever said, all men are like this, or all women are like this, or what, you're getting cynical. And you need to interrupt that pattern because it's not going to get you anywhere you need to go. It's losing touch with what you actually want because you've been so focused on just making something work, anything, right? Pushing through doesn't move you forward like it feels like it should when you don't have a rock solid foundation under you, right? If your foundation is shifting and changing and feels unstable, pushing through is not going to get you where you want to go. And the reason is because burnout is telling us something. It is information, right? It's not a sign that you want the wrong things or that love just isn't in the cards for you. But it's a signal that something in your approach, your foundation, or support structure needs to shift. And I don't care if we're talking about dating, work, politics, family, anything that causes you stress that you can't avoid entirely can cause burnout. And when you feel burnt out in dating, what that feeling is really showing you is that dating's been carrying too much emotional weight. Okay? This is the heart of what needs to be solved. Your sense of progress or worth has probably gotten too tied up in outcomes you can't fully control because you cannot control this entirely. You only have at best 50% of the control in a dating or relationship situation, right? So you've been doing this without a structure that's built around you specifically, without real support to process what comes up, working on something no one taught you how to do, was often modeled poorly around you and comes with lots of advice from other people's personal experiences, values, perspectives that don't necessarily relate to you specifically. When I was sidelined by that accident, I had two choices. I could push through before I was ready or let the recovery process actually work. And what I learned and what I see with daters and my clients is that the people who recover well are never the ones who white knuckle it, right? That's if you do make progress in that situation, it's temporary success. You will have a setback, right? It's a 1 step forward, 2 steps back situation. The people who succeed in this process in recovering from dating burnout and discouragement are the ones who have the right support and structure that meets them where they are. And they prioritize their self-care so they can meet each challenge and opportunity with their best selves. And you cannot do that when you're just trying to get through. Anyone who's run on empty, who's had a period of time where you were just really booked up. You just had a lot of responsibilities and a lot of things you committed to and a lot of things you had to get done, that by the end of it, you're just trying to get it done. And that's not how you approach dating, because you're not going to show up as the person you want to show up as. So dating burnout recovery works just like any other burnout recovery, right? Rest alone is not enough. Generic advice is not enough. Just trying again just digs you deeper. So what moves you forward is like support that's designed to your specific patterns, your history, and where you actually are right now. Burnout doesn't mean you're like at the end of the road and you're just going to give up, but it's just a signal to change the way you're traveling that road, right? So I want to talk about what you're going to do about it instead, okay? If you can't push through it, so what do you do? The first thing you're going to do is stop measuring progress by activity, okay? Take a week of honest reflection and intentional rest, because that's going to be more productive than forcing yourself through draining dates, forcing yourself to show up for it when you're not in the headspace and you're feeling cynical or pessimistic about it. Progress in this process is internal before it's external, right? Before you get results in the dating process, you have to get results internally within yourself, which is everything I work on with people, right? So step 2 is to get honest about what you're actually feeling. So not the story you're telling people or even the story you're telling yourself, right? If everything that's wrong with the process is external and nothing is about your approach, then you're not ever going to fix anything, right? And I'm not saying there isn't a lot externally that makes the dating process bad. There is, right? There are a lot of things, but you don't have control over those things. So being focused on those is the equivalent of just throwing your hands up and giving up and saying, well, it's never going to get better. I might as well quit, or I might as well compromise or settle or whatever, right? Or change my state, whatever it is. This approach is how you absolve yourself of responsibility so you don't actually have to do any deeper work and maybe make some real changes that are actually going to help. If you have forced positivity, it sends your body and your instincts, which are very important in dating, mixed signals. And it takes you further from the clarity that you need to approach the process as your best self. So whether you say aloud or in your head some story that isn't true to justify what's going on, your subconscious hears that and then gets confused. So if you're discouraged, that's real information, what you're feeling. You need to work with it. Don't just paper over it. Don't just rationalize it or blame it on something else. It's real information that you can work with. So if you're talking to someone who truly knows and supports you and they ask you how it's going, tell them the truth. Don't just reflexively say it's fine if it's not. Okay? So step 3 here is to identify what's been carrying too much weight in your life. So if dating is the place where you're looking for reassurance or stability or proof that you're okay, that your life is on the right track or moving forward because other things aren't going that well, and you're just looking to this one thing to indicate at least this is happening, right? This isn't a judgment. It's just a starting point. When you can see what dating has been asked to carry, you can start redistributing that weight to places that can actually hold it. Because again, this process, it's not entirely under your control. So you can't put too much weight on anything you don't have control over. You really can't. It's one thing if you want to say, I will feel so proud of myself and so fulfilled once I earn this degree, right? You have control over that, right? You can study, you can make sure you get tutors or help or ask for extensions or whatever it is you need to do to get that degree. That's something that can hold some of that weight, right? It can hold weight. But if you're feeling like, if I'm not dating someone or if I don't have someone special in my life, then my life is not as successful or fulfilling or has as much value, that's unfair. That is unfair to put on dating. So step 4, the last one I'm going to bring up today, is thinking about what you can control. And that's getting support that's built for you. So general advice, group content, including this session, it can give you framework, it can give you language, different perspectives, some ideas. But the shift that actually changes how dating feels in your life comes from working through your specific patterns with structure and support designed around you, your life, your experiences, goals, your values and boundaries because you're unique. Other people can tell you, I do this, I do that. Your values are different. I think about how many people say they would never go on a coffee date, right? Well, I met my partner on a coffee date. So if I had said I would never go on a coffee date, then I wouldn't have met him. Some people say if they're late to the first date, just move on. I was late. I was 20 minutes late because I was stuck in traffic. And I told him I was 20 minutes late. And even though he is German, he said that's fine. And he waited. And he did not hold it against me. What if he'd held it against me? What if he had decided that me being 20 minutes late and in communication was just not good enough? You know? So I think that there is a lot to consider when someone gives you advice, when they say don't ever do this, or if they don't reply with this, don't respond, and things like that. You have your own values, your own integrity, your own set of expectations around life. So someone else's advice might not apply to you. And getting support around what you actually believe and also interrogating a little why you believe certain things is really how we start to rebuild this foundation. And when you stop pushing through and start working on the foundation, disappointment or discouragement will stop destabilizing you because your steadiness isn't coming from outcomes anymore. Okay? You're making decisions from clarity and not depletion. And you can walk away from misalignment without any panic. Dating becomes just one part of a full life instead of the thing everything else revolves around. If you've ever broken plans with somebody because someone you were dating asked you to do something, even if those plans were for yourself, even if you had a plan for yourself, about something you were going to do, and then someone you were dating said, well, the only time I can see you is this time, and then you put yourself second to what was working for them, there is a very good chance you are putting too much on dating. Okay? It should be a small portion of the whole pie chart of your life, right? Not the whole pie. Not like here's work or whatever, and then or school, whatever, and then here's dating and love life. No, no, no. It should be part of it. You are a whole person, and your romantic energy and goals are part of what makes everything about you you. So it's not like about caring less, but about being weighted correctly. So what you want has room to actually arrive. Okay? Dating gets lighter then, not because you stop wanting love, but because dating itself no longer is carrying your emotional safety. That work in the end is likelier to align you to the path of the life of your dreams because you have more control over your emotional safety and drawing toward you what's best for you and then rejecting what isn't. So you don't waste your time on it and you don't waste your energy worrying about it. So just in closing, listen, people don't come to me wanting more tips or tactics, right? They don't want, and I wouldn't ever provide anything that just helps you like get something. The point is, and what people want is they want calm, clarity, and importantly, they want to trust themselves again and not just their judgment about who's compatible, but they want to trust their feelings, their perceptions, and their choices. So if pushing through has just been your strategy and you're more tired than when you started, that makes total sense. It means you've been working really hard without the right structure underneath you. So if you're ready to just stop pushing and start building something that actually holds, just book a free session with me. I'm going to put the link in the comments. It's a focused conversation where we look at what's been draining you, what needs to shift, and what a foundation that supports you actually looks like for your life specifically. Seriously, no pressure, just a conversation about you and what's going on for you. You don't need just more effort, you need the right structure. And you don't have to build it alone. That's what I'm here for and want to help you do and you to do, and what I want this group to help people to do. So that's what I wanted to say today. It was just really a big hit to my thought process. Why do I tell you about how important it is to take care of yourself, but then I'm putting myself last? So I really want to thank you for joining and being so understanding of that break that I took. If any of you got rescheduled because of that, and you handled it, so I thank you so much. And I will see you next time. Don't forget to subscribe to the newsletter. It comes out tomorrow, but hopefully this has given you some food for thought, and I will see you next time.